Hello, my name is Dr. Ridwan Fontaine. I teach Islamic management at IUM, and today we will focus on the second part of Surah Al-Baqarah. So we've already looked at one central ayat in this section. We're looking at the second one, which is ayat 37. So the background is Nabi Adam has already been created. Iblis was very jealous, and so Iblis made him slip, and so Nabi Adam and his wife disobeyed Allah. So now there's the ayat. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, immediately Adam received from his Lord words, so he accepted his repentance. Surely he is the acceptor of repentance, the most merciful. Okay, so the meaning of the ayat is, as soon as Nabi Adam made tawbah, he realized he made a mistake, he made tawbah immediately that tawbah was accepted. So sometimes people are confused. They think that because of their sins, the tawbah will be delayed or things like that. No. The golden rule is, if you make tawbah and your tawbah is sincere, it's immediately accepted. And at-Tawwab is one of the names of Allah. So He will always accept the tawbah that is sincere. And this is the reality of mankind. And this is why this story, or this part of the story, is so important. We, as human beings, we will make mistakes. And so we are supposed to identify our mistakes, and when we identify them, we make tawbah in order to get closer to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Now, I don't want to talk about tawbah because that's a very, I think many people already know the concept, but I want to look at it from a slightly management perspective, and I want to replace the word tawbah with change. And so we know that there's two kinds of change. One kind of change is slow and continuous. So you are the kind of person where you are analyzing your life, you're looking for areas for improvement, and you are trying to become a better person. And you should be motivated to do this based on your reading of the Quran. And then the other kind of change is a very dramatic change, and this normally happens when there's some kind of a crisis. So sometimes people lose their jobs, or there's a car accident, or someone falls ill. And so that crisis forces you to reevaluate your lifestyle and make sudden changes. So one of the questions that sometimes people ask is, how do we change? How do we become a better person? And many years ago, I did a project with my students, and we interviewed Malaysian students who basically had messed up in their life, and then they fixed themselves. And I analyzed their stories, and I came up with the KIT formula, K-I-T, right? It's like Kit Kat, but just there's no cat. Okay, so KIT stands for Kawan, Ilmu, and Tempat. And Kawan is 20% of the change, Ilmu 10% of the change, and Tempat 70% of the change. So over the last few years, I got many stories about people changing for the better. But a very simple story that I remember is this lady was based in Johor Bahru, and a lot of her friends were involved in drugs, and she didn't want to be in that environment anymore. So the first thing that she did is she left Johor Bahru, and she went to a religious school for 6 months. Okay, I'm not sure exactly what she learned that, but basically she needed to be in a new environment, kind of sort things out in her head, probably learn a lot of new things as well. Having gotten that basic knowledge about Islam, she then went to Kuala Lumpur and found a work in Kuala Lumpur. But she never contacted her old friends, and she never went back to Johor Bahru. Right, so she had to make that severe that break with her past, and she had to stay away from her old friends. She had to go to a new place. She had to learn something new, right? And this is kind of a typical format in order for you to become a better person. Okay, now once you start thinking about it, the KIT formula kind of works in many different ways. I'm not going to go into a lot of detail because or else this video will be very long. But the key point here is your change cannot be random. Your change shouldn't be influenced by people around you. Your change should be based on your reading of the Quran and the Sunnah, and maybe whatever advice you get from people who are knowledgeable and who can, guide you in terms of what are the things you need to change in your life. Okay? So the basic principle is, as human beings, we need to change. And the next part of Surah Baqarah is about Bani Israel. And the whole thing about Bani Israel, this is a community that was not able to change. So we'll talk about that next time. Thank you very much. Assalamu alaikum wa barakatuh.